have a problem this week scoring. Holy shit. I said last week, I was like, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase need to get going if they have any chance to do anything this season. And what happened? Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase get going this year. Why? You return to the spot where Joe Burrow was christened the first overall pick in the draft. They're like, LSU, Alabama. Joe Burrow's like, no problem. Jamar Chase is like, no problem. Then you had Clyde Edwards-Helaire on that team. Joe Burrow shows up in a Jamar Chase LSU jersey.
That's how you knew it was game.
I'm like, oh, so it's like that. And then they're kind of trailing in this game. The Saints are like, and then all of a sudden Joe Burrow's like, no. Jamar, come here. Let's do it. I have them both on my fantasy team. They say my butt this week. I had the highest scoring game out of anyone in our league, and it was because Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase combined for like 70 points. So
yeah,
thank you guys. I was like, you guys need to get going. And they did. That was the title of the video too. I was like, Jamar Chase, Bengals, Saints. Jamar Chase needs to get going. That's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, all that needs to be said. I've liked the Bengals offense has looked clunky this year, but I feel like this is the first game that I've seen them where I'm like, okay, this is back to where they were. You got an all-time talent in Jamar Chase. I'll say it already. You got a good run game, and your defense makes plays when it needs to. That's exactly what they did. I mean, the Saints, they had the Red Rocket himself, Andy Dalton. And Andy Dalton, believe it or not, is playing for a starting job. They talked about the potential of benching Jameis for how he's played this season. So it looks like Andy Dalton might, run the ship at this point. So give credit to him. Give credit to the Saints for how they played with a lot of the receivers out still. Yeah. So give them credit there. But yeah, the Bengals are back. So rest of the league, watch out.
Yeah, talk about the media bias. There were several people who picked Jameis Winston to be MVP this year. Not going to call him out by name, LaShawn McCoy, but you picked Jameis to be the MVP? And the Saints to go to the Super Bowl? Like, I'm sorry, but it's kind of irresponsible without seeing any indication that this guy is capable of winning an MVP. I get it. He played pretty good last year, but you know who his coach? Sean Payton, who took Drew Brees under his wing. I don't want to say he made Drew Brees because that's just disrespectful to Drew Brees, but they helped each other. It's like a give and take with the head coach and a quarterback. He was an offensive genius, one of the best coaches of our time, and Drew Brees was also there mentoring him. And then the offseason, I was like, I don't know how good Jameis is going to be. The farther he gets from Sean Payton and the farther he gets from Drew Brees, I think he needs that constant voice in his head to steer him in the right direction. And that's what happened. I'm like, Dennis Allen, good coach, defensive head coach, though. He's not going to be the guy that's going to be like, sit Jameis down and be able to correct his mistake real time. Like, here, this is where you messed up on the film. So it's just like, no, that was irresponsible of anyone picking Jameis to win MVP because why? No, there's no reason for him to be the MVP.
Well, it was a nearsighted thing for them because they saw how Jameis played the 5 to 6 games he played last year, how he didn't have any mistakes, and how he had the best receiver core of his career. Well, maybe not the best of his career, but really good, best receiver core that he's had since the 30 for 30 season. And with the Sean Payton thing. So I see why he was trying to be ballsy and make that pick. But at the same time, we're talking about Jameis Winston, who is basically
he's this guy trying to eat a W.
He's basically just Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
I mean, him and Carson Wentz have a lot of similarities. And this is somebody who wanted Jameis Winston.
Yeah, you said you were going to come back player of the year.
Yeah, and I thought he would be. But no, he's played like shit. And you know what? I sell my stock on Jameis.
Yeah, and it's like, where are we when we think Jameis is better than Andy Dalton? Like, when was there a time in Jameis's career where he's been better than Andy Dalton? I get Andy Dalton's not great.
Still, I mean, talent-wise, he has been.
Talent-wise, he is, but as a football player, he's not.
No, not for all the mistakes. Because Andy Dalton, he's a formidable player. Even now, I mean, he's been playing for a decade now, and he's still in Cincinnati. He was a solid. He was probably like Kirk Cousins before Kirk Cousins, like put
Yeah.
up good numbers. Maybe not. I mean, he also had Marvin Lewis, who was a pretty overrated coach.
Yeah. Never won a playoff game in like 20 years coaching.
Yeah, 0-9.
0-9.
0-9 as a head coach in the playoffs. But he was formidable. He was a Pro Bowler. He played well. So that's kind of how Andy Dalton's career has been.